Nick Reiner has been arrested and is being held on $4 million. He is suspected of the deaths of his parents, of them to death.
The shocking story of Hollywood star Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle has taken a very sad turn. Their son, Nick Reiner, has now been sentenced, showing a dark and troubling truth that has shocked fans and the public.
The lawyer defending Nick Reiner, charged with murdering his parents, renowned film director Rob and photographer Michelle Reiner. Nick can't be shown on the court camera, speaking only to confirm his wish to delay a plea hearing.
What started as a tragic family event has brought out secrets no one expected. This story makes people wonder about the struggles and fights that can happen in a family, even one so famous and admired. How could a family so loved fall apart in such a scary way? And what really made Nick do this? Join us in this video as we reveal the details. Disturbing truth unveiled about Rob Reiner's son's sentence. The arrest of Nick Reiner took place on Sunday night after police confirmed the deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, inside their Brentwood home. Nick Reiner, who is 32 years old, was taken into custody by officers with the Los Angeles Police Department only hours after the bodies were discovered. Authorities stated that he was arrested without bail and remains in custody as the investigation continues. After his arrest, Nick Reiner was transported to the Twin Towers Correctional Facility located in downtown Los Angeles, where he is currently being held under strict supervision. Law enforcement officials explained that the decision to hold Nick Reiner without bail was based on the seriousness of the charges and the nature of the alleged crime. Police moved quickly once they identified him as a person of interest, working through the night to locate and detain him. Officers were able to find Nick Reiner near the University of Southern California, where he was arrested and taken into custody without resistance. Authorities did not release many details at the time, stating that protecting the integrity of the case was their top priority. Nick Reiner has been officially named by police as the main suspect in what investigators are calling a double homicide. Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonnell publicly confirmed that Nick Reiner is believed to be responsible for the fatal stabbing deaths of both victims. While addressing the media, McDonnell remained cautious and avoided sharing sensitive information. He explained that detectives were limiting public statements to avoid interfering with the investigation and to ensure that all evidence is handled properly. According to police sources, Nick Reiner was not present at the family home when first responders arrived. Investigators believe he left the house sometime after the stabbings occurred. This detail has become an important part of the timeline that detectives are working to establish. Authorities have not disclosed where he went immediately after leaving the home, but they confirmed that tracking his movements is a key focus of the ongoing investigation. Nick Reiner was formally booked on murder charges in the early hours of Monday morning. The charges relate to the deaths of both Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, which means the case is being handled as a double murder under California law. Police officials have stated that the booking process took place after detectives gathered enough information to move forward with the charges. At this stage, no court date has been publicly announced, and prosecutors are expected to review the evidence before proceeding further. As part of the investigation, detectives have been conducting interviews with immediate members of the Reiner family. These interviews are meant to help authorities understand the relationships within the family and to gather information about Nick Reiner's recent behavior and personal circumstances. Investigators are particularly focused on understanding his connection with his parents and whether there were ongoing issues that could provide insight into the events that took place. Law enforcement sources have indicated that Nick Reiner has a documented history of personal struggles. These issues have been acknowledged as part of the broader background being examined by investigators. Officials stress that this information is being reviewed to provide context rather than to draw conclusions, as the investigation is still ongoing and all evidence must be carefully evaluated. Authorities have emphasized that the investigation remains active and complex. Detectives continue to analyze physical evidence, review witness statements, and conduct follow-up interviews. Police officials have stated that every step is being taken to ensure the case is built properly and that all legal procedures are followed. As Nick Reiner remains in custody without bail, investigators are continuing their work to fully understand the circumstances surrounding the deaths and to prepare the case for future legal proceedings. With the family dynamics and personal struggles of Nick Reiner now fully understood, the focus shifts to the tragic and shocking events that unfolded in the Brentwood home. What exactly happened on that fateful day that led to the arrest of Rob Reiner's son? Keep watching to find out more. Tragedy in Brentwood. The deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner. The deaths of filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner, have shocked both their family and the public. Law enforcement sources report that their son, Nick Reiner, age 32, has been arrested in connection with their deaths. Paramedics and police were called to the Reiner family's home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles on Sunday afternoon. The exact details of the deaths are still under investigation. Authorities continue to review all the facts carefully as the investigation moves forward. Nick Reiner is one of 4 children of Rob Reiner. During a previous marriage to filmmaker Penny Marshall, Rob Reiner adopted a daughter, Tracy, when she was 2 years old. Nick has had a long history of struggles with substance and alcohol, starting in his teenage years. These problems led to periods of homelessness and repeated stays in rehabilitation centers. Rob and Michelle Reiner openly spoke about their attempts to help their son through these difficulties. In 2015, Rob Reiner co-created the film Being Charlie, which was inspired by Nick's life and focused on the challenges of addiction and the father-son relationship. The film reflected the family's efforts to understand and support Nick while dealing with public scrutiny and personal hardships. Family members have expressed deep shock and grief over the deaths. Tracy Reiner, Rob's adopted daughter, said she was overwhelmed and struggling to process the events. Speaking from her home in New Mexico, she described having the greatest family ever and recalled many fond memories with her father, stepmother, and siblings. She is traveling to Los Angeles to be with her family and help with arrangements related to her father and stepmother. The emotional impact on the family has been described as profound, and friends and loved ones are also coping with the sudden loss. Tributes from the entertainment industry have poured in since news of the deaths became public. Actress Kathy Bates, who starred with Rob Reiner in the 1990 film Misery, called the news devastating and horrifying and praised Reiner as a brilliant artist who shaped her career and life. Director Paul Feig referred to Reiner as his true hero and a visionary titan, highlighting his kindness and influence. Actor Josh Gad shared that the loss was devastating and emphasized Reiner's care for people who had no voice. Elijah Wood expressed horror over the passing of Rob and Michelle, sending condolences to the family. Actor and filmmaker Ben Stiller praised Reiner's kindness, humor, and talent, noting his role in making some of the most important films of his generation, including When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and Sleepless in Seattle. The deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner have had a major impact on the public and the entertainment community. Social media has been filled with messages of sympathy and remembrance. Many have highlighted Reiner's lasting contributions to film, advocacy, and culture. The involvement of their son, who has had a well-known history of addiction, has also drawn attention and concern. The timing of the tragedy near the holiday season has added to the emotional weight, making the loss even more poignant for family, friends, and fans. Ongoing coverage is focused on providing live updates from Los Angeles as the investigation continues. News teams are reporting from the scene in Brentwood and following developments closely. Authorities have emphasized that the investigation is active and that they are collecting all evidence carefully and according to proper legal procedures. This case remains under close watch, and more details are expected to emerge as investigators piece together the events surrounding the deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner and the arrest of their son, Nick. How did years of addiction, strained family dynamics, and repeated interventions shape the relationship between Nick Reiner and his parents? And could these struggles have played a role in the tragic events that followed? Let's delve deeper. Addiction, family bonds, and tragedy in the Reiner household. Interviews and media appearances with Nick Reiner over the years give important insight into the struggles he faced with his family and addiction. In 2016, while promoting the film Being Charlie, which was based on his own life, Nick spoke openly about the difficult relationship he had with his father, Rob Reiner. He explained that as a child, he and his father did not bond much because they had different interests. Rob loved baseball, while Nick preferred basketball. Watching his father work on the film helped Nick feel closer to him, as he began to understand his father in a new way. He said that seeing his father in his element, directing and guiding actors, showed how much Rob cared, even if they had trouble communicating before. Nick also discussed the many challenges he faced with addiction. By 2016, at about age 22, he had gone to rehab 18 times over 7 years, averaging more than 2 programs per year. He said that he had also been homeless in several states, including Maine, New Jersey, and Texas, because he had refused treatment at times. His parents had used tough love, making him face the consequences of his choices, such as living on the streets, to encourage him to seek help. Nick acknowledged that this approach was difficult, but also helped him eventually start getting better. He described the experience as painful but necessary, as his parents tried everything they could to help him. A family yoga instructor who knew the Reiners for over 10 years also offered perspective on the family dynamics. She described Rob and Michelle as loving and hands-on parents who worked hard to guide their children. She said Michelle, originally from New York, was especially mindful about raising her kids away from the pressures of Hollywood while still living in Los Angeles. The instructor noted that being children of famous parents created its own challenges. She explained that the sense of fame and public attention could make it hard for children to see reality clearly, sometimes leading to frustration or delusions. She emphasized that this was not an excuse for Nick's behavior, but it did contribute to tension in the family. The Reiners' approach to parenting involved both tough love and abundant support. They tried to provide guidance, set limits, and intervene when necessary, but the struggle with addiction was constant. The family also undertook the emotional challenge of producing and directing a film about Nick's struggles. This process required significant time, effort, and emotional energy, as they faced the realities of their child's challenges and their own responses as parents. Even with financial resources, love, and personal attention, they encountered limits to what they could do to prevent repeated relapses. The tragic outcome of these efforts was devastating. Reports indicate that Nick Reiner fatally stabbed his parents in what appears to have been a crime of passion following an argument. His sister reportedly discovered the scene and contacted authorities, leading to Nick's arrest. The violent nature of the act underscores the extreme difficulty and danger involved in dealing with a family member who struggles with addiction and aggressive behavior. It also highlights that, even with love, resources, and years of intervention, Outcomes can be unpredictable and sometimes tragic. This case also offers a broader perspective on addiction, parenting, and fame. The difficulties of serious addiction cannot be sorted by wealth or social standing, observers have noted. Even rich families can face hardships and heartache, as showed by comparisons to other popular families whose children suffer with mental health or substance problems. Experts stress that parents may face issues in spite of their best efforts, and that children with addiction need constant care and support. The narrative of the Reiners exemplifies the difficult balancing act between personal obligations, parental care, and the high demands of living in the spotlight. The case has sparked public sympathy and concern. People point out that the family's troubles were genuine, and the tragic outcome serves as a warning of how addiction and mental health disorders can affect any family. Observers point out that while celebrity and money can make life easier in some respects, they do not ensure safety or prevent catastrophe. The Reiners' experience sheds light on the difficulties of parenting a child with addiction, the emotional toll on families, and the limitations of intervention. How does Rob Reiner's remarkable legacy in film, activism, and cultural impact continue to resonate, even in the wake of this family tragedy? Stay tuned for more. Rob Reiner, a legacy of film, advocacy, and lasting influence. While the inquiry into their deaths is still ongoing, Rob Reiner's influence on film, television, and society is undeniable. He rose to fame in the 1970s with his part on the sitcom All in the Family, for which he won 2 Emmy Awards. This initial breakthrough brought in a career that inspired audiences and artists for decades. Reiner finally became a popular filmmaker, creating pictures that are still popular today. His films include This Is Spinal Tap, a popular comedy about rock bands, The Princess Bride, a classic mix of adventure, humor, and romance. When Harry Met Sally, a romantic comedy known for its wit and charm, and A Few Good Men, a courtroom drama known for its dialogue and performances. These films amused millions and influenced current storytelling, showing Reiner's ability to balance innovation with mainstream appeal. Aside from movies, Reiner was highly involved in social and political issues. He co-founded First 5 California, a tobacco tax-funded program that promotes early infant development. Along with his wife Michelle, he campaigned for marriage equality and LGBTQ+ rights, working to repeal Proposition 8. Reiner used his celebrity to show vital worries, showing that his influence stretched well beyond the screen. Reiner has been praised by colleagues and acquaintances as a gifted artist, a creative director, and a caring individual. His work has inspired many actors, directors, and writers, leaving a lasting mark on Hollywood. Through his films, he entertained people, and through his advocacy, he helped improve lives. Rob Reiner's life shows how one person can leave a lasting impact through both art and service, and his contributions will be remembered for years to come. With the shocking loss of Rob and Michelle Reiner now revealed, how did the public, media, and even political figures react to this tragedy? And what legal questions immediately arose from the events? Let's learn more. Public outcry and legal controversy. On Sunday, the world learned about the shocking deaths of Rob Reiner, a famous director, actor, and producer, and his wife, Michelle Reiner. The news came from their home in Brentwood, Los Angeles, and quickly became one of the biggest stories in both entertainment and news media. While the details of the deaths are still under investigation, the reactions from the public and political figures have already caused a lot of discussion. President Donald Trump responded to the deaths on his social media platform, Truth Social. In his post, Trump wrote that Rob Reiner had passed away due to what he called Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS. He described Reiner as someone who was obsessed with criticizing him, calling him paranoid, and claimed that this obsession caused harm to others. Trump's post ended with the words, "May Rob and Michelle rest in peace." Many people criticized this post for being insensitive and politically motivated. They said it was wrong to use such a tragic moment to attack someone for their political opinions, especially when both Rob and Michelle had died violently. Commentators at TMZ noted that Trump's post reflected a pattern of politicizing events, even in moments when respect and compassion would usually be expected. Many viewers were surprised that Trump chose to comment on Reiner's political views instead of simply acknowledging his death and achievements. By contrast, many celebrities and public figures gave more respectful tributes. Barack Obama, Stephen King, Ben Stiller, and others praised Rob Reiner for his contributions to film, television, and culture. They remembered him not only as a talented professional, but also as a kind and caring person. The difference in responses highlighted how divided public reactions can be when politics intersect with tragedy. At the same time, the legal situation regarding Rob and Michelle Reiner's deaths has also drawn attention. Nick Reiner, the couple's son, is in custody in connection with the case. TMZ reported that his bail was set at $4 million. This sparked debate online and in news discussions. Many people felt that the bail amount seemed too low for someone accused of such serious crimes, especially given that wealthy individuals may only have to pay a fraction of the total bail to be released. Others argued that he should not have the option for bail at all. This concern added another layer to the public's emotional response to the tragedy. Social media reactions have mirrored these discussions. Some people focused on showing respect for Rob and Michelle Reiner and criticized anyone making political attacks. Others focused on the justice system, expressing frustration with how bail works for people who have money. Together, these discussions reflect both the sadness over the deaths and the public's broader concerns about fairness and responsibility. In summary, the deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner have led to a mix of emotional responses. Political figures, celebrities, and ordinary people have reacted in very different ways. Donald Trump's post drew criticism for being insensitive and political, while many celebrities offered heartfelt tributes. The legal updates, including Nick Reiner's $4 million bail, have added another level of public scrutiny. These reactions show how deeply the public cares about both the Reiner's legacy and the fairness of the legal process. What do you think about the tragic deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we explored the tragic and shocking details surrounding the deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner. We hope you found this video revealing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video on your screen to learn more about the case, the investigation, and the legal proceedings involving their son. See you there.